Hi Rumians, I'm Druzhnik. Thank you for being here and welcome to my feature overview video for Imperator Rome 1.3 Livy update. This update is coming out December 3rd, and I want to give a huge thank you to Paradox Interactive for providing me with a preview copy of the Livy update so I could play around with it and see what I think, but most of all, share the new features with you. Now, this video is intended for people who are curious about 1.3, irrespective of whether you've played 1.2. And why? That's because I haven't. So I will also be covering some other mechanics introduced in 1.2 because I've been playing around with them and trying to relearn them. And that's why I am covering the most important changes that I've encountered of 1.2 as well. This is not intended to be a full overview of all changes, and this is also not intended to be a review of the Livy update. This is simply an overview. Things I'll cover in this video will show up now, including their timestamp. So if you only want to see a specific thing, you can go there straight away. And as always, I hope you enjoy this video, and if you do, hit that like button and consider subscribing. It helps out immensely. To talk you through the features, I've chosen Carthage as a nation to also honor the Punic Wars pack that is dropping with the 1.3 update. Let's start with missions. These are procedurally generated to provide contextual goals and rewards reflecting your current situation. However, in Punic Wars, the Romans and Carthaginians have special missions that are scripted into the game. Here you can see the 3 starting Carthaginian missions focusing on internal stability and the conquest of Africa and Sicily. Some of the missions even allow you to create new nations, such as Carthago Nova in Iberia. Further on in the game, you'll get missions to further your conquest of Rome, which obviously is part of Punic Wars. Now, the Romans will have missions like this as well. As you can see, I chose the End to Sicilian Warfare mission here, and the first thing I need to do is complete the task Eastern Nemesis. I need to control the Syracusan part of Sicily. Before I can declare war, however, I will need a claim on Syracuse. And I didn't really think that through when I chose this mission, so I had already started it, and it takes about a year. And I had not started to fabricate a claim on the province of Syracuse yet, which you can see me do here. I think I'm gonna click it. Yes, there we go. But having not played 1.2, I forgot that it takes some time to fabricate a claim. So I had readied my navies, and I had readied my armies, and I had started my mission. And that was it, I couldn't do anything. So I was nervously looking at the clock ticking on the mission and not being able to declare the war that I wanted to declare, that is. So yeah, that's one learning thing. Now, I thought that I would fail the mission, but here you can see me getting the claim right as the first assignment of the mission ended, but actually it did not have me fail the mission, so I don't know if that's intended, because here it says completed task. I don't know if that's intended or not, but maybe it is. In either case, I was very, very confused and surprised, but it worked. So I could declare on Syracuse, and I could take them and still complete the task that I wanted to complete in the first place. Now, the war was a little difficult. It took me a while before I could do what I needed to do. But, oh yeah, here you can see the new feature as well. They call it the Inferno graphics. You can actually see cities that are on fire. You can see them burn. So anyway, the war. Yeah, the war. I ended up winning the war, but not with all of Syracuse under my belt, which was a little annoying and upsetting, but it had already been very, very difficult for me to best all the armies. Mind you, Rome joined the war right away. Actually, I knew that. And my allies weren't very efficient, I have to say. And I lost a lot of troops. But in the end, you know, I could do what I needed to do. And so when I finally got Syracuse and a positive war score, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna sue for peace and take whatever I have now, which you can see me do here. I probably could have asked for a little bit more now that I look at this, but you know, that was not the point of me playing this. So I took basically the capital of Syracuse, now called Birot. I don't know how you pronounce it, but there it is. And that completed half of the first task, but it also allowed me to go through to the second task, which requires you to own Birot. So I could immediately complete this task and get a reward. I got a 20-year modifier to migration attraction, pop conversion, and assimilation speed in that region. So that's very, very useful. And in order to proceed in this mission tree, I also needed to subjugate Akragas, as you can see over here. But we have a truce going, so that will take a while before I can do that. But anyway, here you can see the mission tree and how it works, and other benefits and things you have to do, which is really, really cool. Now let's move on to politics and everything that goes with that. There's now a power base based on characters. If more disloyal characters are in power, you'll have a higher civil war risk. You can see a breakdown here of who's contributing to what, including the disloyal admiral of the Second Navy, and you can also see civil war and rebellion risk meters in that screen. Then there's government interactions and factions and events surrounding these. You can empower separate factions, which will cost political influence and give you benefits associated with that faction. There's also an event that can lead to certain characters switching factions, deepening the political system and its consequences. My choice led to a bigger civic faction, whereas before, it was very small. There is also a character experience, as you can see here. The rating of individual government officers goes up as they get more experience, which is shown in their statesmanship. Let's move over to families. The big important families now have easily distinguishable colors. This helps identify characters more quickly and see which families are scorned and which aren't. Mind you, red does not mean a negative thing here. It's just a color for a family. You can also sort by families and family sizes. As far as I can tell, trade is close to its 1.1 version, though there are now very helpful arrows showing incoming and outgoing trade and their sources, and you can still get big benefits from certain goods. So that's still there. There's also a map mode for goods, which was already included in the launch version. That is still there as well. Let's move on to the province view. Actually, this is the city view. This was the most major change for me, not having played 1.2 yet. The screen is completely different, and true to its paradox nature, there's a lot of information on it. Let me be honest with you, I don't have a full grasp on this new screen and everything it covers and lies behind it just yet. I'm pretty sure I'll have to relearn big chunks of the game, but it looks very good to me. Here you can see food and everything that modifies your food income, like territories, resupplying units, and of course population and food stores. Your armies will now consume food, which is shown with an apple icon. Next are endowments you can make that give you a 2-year negative modifier on your output, and after that a positive one until the end of the game, depending what you chose, like religion or import routes. You pay for these with political influence, which is now modified by your government, your status, and corruption. Mana is gone. Pop still have a separate detailed screen, but that's also different from the launch version. Classes and cultures are now more clear, as well as migration and growth. Here you can see the buildings in the city of Carthage, which has 4 marketplaces, 2 aqueducts, a fortress, and a tax office. More on buildings soon, though you can build buildings from the province menu, but also still from the menu on the top left. Here you can see city details in terms of capacity and building slots, and also modifiers to who wants to live there. Up top you can still see what the territories in one province produce and which benefits this provides. And here, what specific good the city of Carthage produces. Remember, just as in earlier versions, you can increase production of this good by increasing the amount of slaves in that city. In this case, every 18 slaves produce 1 die. Also useful is if you hover over a specific class of pop, it'll highlight the thing it modifies in green. Next, we've got commerce income and everything it modifies, such as territories, trade, ruler finesse, civics, your mercantile stance, stability, and omens. And left of that, you can see your pure tax income. Let's move on to buildings. More buildings was one of my wishes for this game's post-launch. There are 2 tiers, settlement buildings and city buildings. Settlements get 1 main building slot until they are upgraded to cities. Cities get 2 extra building slots upon becoming a city, and thereafter 1 per 10 pops. Starting with the settlement buildings, there's the fortress, barracks, slave estate, mine, farming settlement, tribal settlement, and provincial legation. You can read their modifiers on your own pace if you pause the video. As you can see in the city buildings, there are lots of options with different effects, such as adding provincial loyalty, increasing tax, or promoting pops more quickly, if you need that research. I also built both a marketplace and a tax office, which you can see me do here for Carthage. It adds a plus 0.13, and it also shows you how many building slots are left after you've built another building. And then I'm also looking at the tax office right now. I think, yes, there we go. And I think I built it in Carubis. I'm not entirely sure why, but I think I did so because I wanted some change, so I didn't want to build everything in Carthage. Moving on to technology. Getting an invention now costs gold and has several levels you can go through. Fun to play around with yourself. Lastly, I want to say a few words about navies. You can build more types of ships now, which greatly enhances decision-making when creating a navy. I can say I've enjoyed the naval part far more now, which is another reason why I chose Carthage for this video. There's more changes in Livy than I discussed and showed just now, including new omens, navigable rivers, and the map mode manager, but I wanted to leave something for you to try out yourself. For me, this is enough reason to venture back into Imperator Rome again. I will need to relearn some aspects of the game, but to me, that's a big part of the fun of it all. I am curious to hear your impression of the Livy update and even of how you've liked the game after the 1.2 Cicero update. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or tips. And also if you'd like to see more videos like this in the future. For now, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, hit that like button and please consider subscribing. It helps out immensely, and I will hopefully see you next time.